And Megan, I just want to confirm that we are live. Yes.
Sorry, I was muted. You are live.
Okay, great. So good afternoon or almost afternoon, everyone. It's 11:05 on July 12th, 2024. And this is the newly reinstated first meeting of the Special Oversight Committee on Workforce Expansion and Development. My name is Michael Harrington. I'm the Commissioner for the Vermont Department of Labor. And under Act 146, it was my duty to call the first meeting and bring it to order. We have an agenda that's up on the website to cover a number of different things. And I'll just run through that real quick. We'll do a quick review of the agenda, see if there's any changes. Also on the agenda, we have to identify a nomination and a vote for selecting the chair of this committee, who will take the lead going forward from today. Then we have a review of Act 146, which was also H707, which is an act related to revising the delivery and governance of the workforce system. We have open committee discussion around the executive director role for the Office of Workforce Strategy and Development. And finally, committee discussion and next steps, some public input opportunities, and scheduling of the next meeting. Are there any other additions or changes to this agenda, or does it sound good to everybody?
I may I just I thought we were also going to review meeting times.
Yes.
Did you mention that and I just didn't hear it?
I just said scheduling of the next meeting.
Scheduling,
so,
yeah.
Yes.
All our meet because I think that's one of the key reasons we're all Zooming today and not gathering in person and having a longer meeting.
Correct.
Sorry,
yes,
scheduling meetings is right.
Any other updates?
No, that sounds good.
Okay. So with that, we'll jump into nominations and vote for the chair of this committee. And then he can take it or she can take it from there. And so if there is a nomination for a chair of the committee, yes, Senator Clarkson.
Commissioner.
I would like to nominate our very able state representative, Michael Marcotte. Calling him Michael only at this moment. And if he was willing, anyway, I would like to nominate Mike Marcotte to be our chair.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Mike, I
Allison.
you had something you wanted to say, Representative.
I think that we might have a little wrinkle before we vote, I think, and before we nominate anybody, because I think that as of July 1, the State Workforce Development Board ceased to exist. And the governor has not appointed anyone and thus has not appointed a chairman for the Workforce Development Board. So we don't actually have a chair, which is one of the members of this committee. So I don't believe that, and Rick, you can verify for me that Adam can vote right now until all those appointments get done and whoever fills that spot on as director or chairman of the Workforce Development Board.
Yeah, so Rick Sagel, Office of Legislative Counsel. I wouldn't say the State Workforce Board is dissolved. What I would say is if the governor had not reappointed somebody, either before July 1st or has appointed people since July 1st, there may not be any active members on the board, but the board still does exist. For Socwed, the way this should work is you, Rhett Marcotte, Allison Clarkson have both been appointed by the Speaker and the Senate, respectively. The chair of the State Workforce Board, you're correct, Mike, is not yet active, I'll say. So that person would not be able to vote for chair of this committee. However, we do have Commissioner Harrington, who is a member of Socwed now. And let me double check the last member of Socwed
is Kendall.
A member
from the governor.
So Kendall, were you appointed by the governor? Okay, so you have four of the five. So you have a quorum. The committee can still vote on who the chair should be.
Great. Thank you.
Is everybody clear on that? Were there any follow-up questions? What I got from that is Adam certainly is welcome to participate as a representative, but not doesn't have the ability to vote because he hasn't been identified as the new chair of the board.
That's right.
Okay.
Is this the perhaps in the agenda, then we also might include an update on the timing of when the State Workforce Development Board is going to be appointed and when that might happen.
Sure. And we can add that under committee discussion.
Sounds good.
Great. And I see Adam has his hand up.
Yeah, sure. Just you know, obviously this was considered probably by each of us as we headed into this meeting, and glad to be here in the capacity of just having worked with all of you on this committee for these many months, or we'll actually call it years. And happy to have this participation with, and not be able to have a vote at this point is, I think, a fine and good way to proceed, and we'll continue to serve in that capacity. So thank you.
Great. So there is a nomination for Representative Michael Marcotte of Coventry to serve as the chair of the Special Oversight Committee. Is there a second to that nomination?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Kendall. With that, is there any further discussion that needs to be had by anyone?
I would just add that we're very grateful for his leadership for the first go round, and we look forward to his continued leadership because he's done such a rocking job.
Not to speak for everybody, but I think we all share that sentiment. So thank you very much, Representative Marcotte, for your willingness to serve in this capacity. With that, I'll call the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great. So, Mr. Chair.
9 o'clock today.
Mr. Chair, you are the chair, and I'll let
open
you
until
carry us
4.
through the rest of the agenda.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner. Just so everyone knows, I'm at work, so you may hear some beeping and you may hear some chatting in the background. And
Yes,
I think
we're glad to know you're open till 4, it sounds like.
I'm open till 6, so
We're open till 6.
yeah,
Somebody just said, "Hey, we're open till 4."
that's for the redemptions on there. Anyway, I think probably before we continue on, we should introduce ourselves as members of the board, and then whoever else has joined us today on the Zoom. So I'm again Michael Marcotte, State Representative from Coventry, and I also chair House Commerce and Economic Development. Senator
Allison Clarkson, Windsor District Senator, Majority Leader in the Senate, Vice Chair of Senate Economic Development, Housing and General Affairs, and serve on government operations. Kendall.
Good morning, Kendall Smith, Governor Scott's Director of Policy and Legislative Affairs. Commissioner?
Hello, everyone. Michael Harrington again, Commissioner for the Vermont Department of Labor and the state's Workforce Administrator.
Adam.
Yes, Adam Grinold. I'm the Executive Director at the Brattleboro Development Credit Corporation, and most recently served as Chair of the Statewide Workforce Development Board, and former named member of the Socwed, and I guess in a ad hoc sort of status right now, but happy to be here.
Thanks, Ellen.
Ellen Kaler, Vermont Sustainable Jobs Fund Observer.
Yay.
What about Cameron and Jay? Ah, they're there.
Good morning, Jay Ramsey. I'm the Director of Workforce Development at the Department of Labor, here to support the Commissioner and the committee.
Thank you. Good to see you. Cameron.
Good morning, everybody. Cameron Wood. I am the Policy and Legislative Affairs Director for the Vermont Department of Labor. And I hope you all are doing well and safe after the weather that we've had over the past few days.
Thank you. Rowan.
Good morning, Rowan Hawthorne in the Commissioner's Office at the Department of Labor. I'm here to support the Commissioner and the committee. Thank you.
Thank you. And Megan?
Hi, Rowan. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I've met Rowan, so it's nice to see you. Maybe. Anyway.
Good to see you too.
And Megan is here, the wizard behind the green curtain.
Yes, I'm the wizard behind the curtain, and because of that, I can't turn my camera on. But I'm here as your committee assistant.
You're welcome.
And thank you for that. We appreciate your help.
No problem.
So
Rep Marcotte, you're muted.
I'm going to pull up the, just going to pull up the agenda. So I have it.
Mr. Chair, I think first thing on the agenda is the walkthrough from Rick on H707 Act 146.
Yes. So, do we want a full walkthrough of the whole bill, or would you just want a walkthrough of the charge for this committee?
I'm fine with the charge of just this committee.
I would echo that.
Okay.
In
Alice?
agreement.
Okay. So Rick, if you could just walk us through the charge of the committee, that would be great.
Sure. And Megan, can you turn on my screen share capability? Can you give me the power? Otherwise, I can just verbally walk through it, but it might help for them to see the bill as well. Thank you.
You should be good.
Well, yes, Megan, that was fast. That is impressive.
I
Okay.
said she was the wizard behind. It's not
She
just
is
like
the
an
wizard.
ordinary. Yeah.
Amazing. All right. So again, Rick Sagel, Office of Legislative Counsel. I am in Act 146, and I am down to Section 4. And as Commissioner Harrington said, this was H707. When the governor signed it, became Act 146. So Section 4 is the direct charge of this committee. And I'm going to go over this. And what I may also do is kind of give a little bit, once I do this, give a little bit of background in case we've forgotten the specifics of what these words mean. But I'm not going to go through the whole thing because that would take too much of your time. So Section 4, this is the committee reauthorization. The Special Oversight Committee on Workforce Expansion and Development, Socwed, which you are very familiar with, was originally created in 2022. It's been reauthorized to handle two more specific questions that we couldn't address in 707. Specifically, this Socwed committee shall review and propose changes to 10 VSA 540, which I'll kind of hit that here in a second. That is the workforce training and leadership statute. Because we created this Office of Workforce Strategy, I always forget the exact name of it. Yeah, and development. We have to kind of reconfigure how that statute's worded. So that's one thing this committee will do. And secondly, you also suggest a set of recommended qualifications to the governor for consideration for the position of this executive director of the Office of Workforce Strategy and Development. The membership, we kind of touched on that a little bit. It's basically copying and pasting over the members from a couple of years ago, except the Commissioner of Labor replaces the State Director of Workforce Development on the committee, and any vacancies that occur, we would be reappointed by the relevant appointing authority. Okay, we have the first meeting called by the Commissioner of Labor that happened, not on before June 1st, but that was impossible, right? The committee shall select a chair. That's been done. A majority of membership shall constitute a quorum, and the committee shall not meet more than 8 times. So more specifically, what this committee is going to do, as I mentioned, is in consultation with Leg Counsel, aka me, you all will review 10 VSA 540 and engage with workforce development stakeholders to A, evaluate the effectiveness of the current language and statute, and B, determine, due to changes in the State Workforce Development Board, as set forth in this act, how the authorities and responsibilities for the coordination of workforce education and training set forth in 10 VSA 540 should be modified to ensure there is effective and comprehensive leadership in workforce development, education, and training between these two positions, right, that we want to kind of clarify the powers and duties and responsibilities, Commissioner of Labor and the Executive Director of Office of Strategy, Workforce Strategy and Development, and any other relevant authorities. Secondly, the committee, in consultation with the Executive Committee of the State Workforce Development Board, which I'll refresh you here in a second what that is, and DHR shall develop qualifications to recommend to the governor for consideration for the position of the Executive Director of the Office of Workforce Strategy and Development. For administrative and technical support, you get the wizard, otherwise known as Megan, the Office of Legislative Operations, drafting recommended legislation. You get Office of Legislative Counsel, drafting job recommendations. You have the assistance of DHR. As far as the requirements go, the actual work product you guys are going to create, the committee shall submit recommended job qualifications to House Commerce and Senate Economic Development on or before October 15, 2024. The committee shall submit recommended legislative language for 10 VSA 540. Same two committees on or before 30th. We have the standard compensation reimbursement language for DM compensation and reimbursement for not more than 8 meetings.
So when I buy a carton,
the expiration of the committee is January 15, 2025.
Mike, you might want to mute yourself because I think we're hearing all the store noise. Maybe I'm wrong.
Okay.
You're probably not wrong.
And also, I have my portable AC running. It's kind of loud. You may hear that too. All right, so that's section 4. Are there any questions about that before I refresh you all on the Executive Committee of State Workforce? No? Okay. So the Executive Committee, which is who you will be consulting with to create these job qualifications for the Executive Director, just so you all remember, this is a new committee that was created in this act. And this might be a little tricky, so we can talk about, how we're going to do this. But the committee is created in this act. It's made up of these following people: the chair of the board, which doesn't exist yet, as we know, the Commissioner of Labor or designee, the Secretary of Education or designee, the Secretary of Human Services or designee, the Secretary of Commerce and Community Development or designee, 2 business representatives appointed by the chair, who obviously they have not been appointed yet, nor have the 2 workforce representatives appointed by the chair. So that's 5 people that are not yet available to be on this executive committee, and that's a majority of the 9. So just throwing it out there that you all can't really consult with this committee when it comes to the job qualifications because this committee doesn't exist yet. But if the governor is able to appoint a chair of the board in the next however long, I think August 1st is when the governor has. Let me double check that. Yeah. So hopefully, by August 1st, we have a chair of the board, and therefore those appointments can be made. But just giving you all that heads up there. That's a pretty quick summary. I can go over more, but I'll also leave it up to the chair to see if he wants me to cover anything else specifically. And you're muted, Mike, because Senator Clarkson made you mute your microphone.
Sorry, I didn't make him.
You made him. Looks like he lost his audio connection.
So I guess I have a question, which is, it strikes me that our job is that it would be wise for then us to prioritize the duties and qualifications so that we're ready to have that conversation with the executive committee whenever it gets appointed.
I would agree. And I was going to recommend that we start with number 2 instead of number 1. The other piece, and Rick, correct me if I'm wrong, too, the chair needs to be appointed by August 1, and then the board needs to be appointed by September 1. So without the rest of the board being appointed, the chair could not identify the 2 business representatives to the executive committee because they will not have been appointed to the board unless they had been appointed to the board yet.
So I don't know. I don't recall there being a required date for the executive committee. Is that what you're referring to, Commissioner? Is that they must be appointed by a certain date, or is it the board?
No, the full board needs to be
Okay.
appointed, I believe, by September 1, but
Yeah.
the 2 business representatives on the executive committee have to come from the board itself. So the
Right.
chair can't appoint the 2 business representatives until they have been appointed to the board as a whole by the governor.
Right, that's correct.
Okay.
So,
Mike's still
sorry,
muted.
why am I not getting? I thought the 2 business representatives were appointed by the chair of the board.
They're appointed by the chair of the board.
But they haven't
executive
that,
committee.
but they will be serving. They will have had to have been appointed to the board. Got it.
Correct. Yes, you are correct.
Got it.
So yeah, and just one more thing. This I see Mike's back with his mic on, but you know, it is consultation, so you can certainly begin your work now on either of those tasks, and then once you have some kind of rough draft or whatever you want to call it, then you can consult with the executive committee, and the timelines are tight. Just a reminder here: the job description is due first. October 15th, October 15th of this year, and the legislative language is due November 30th, 2024. So I think it's doable. It's just a little bit tight, and I'll leave it up to Mike.
I will say, and maybe we want to see if Mr. Chair is still. It says you're muted.
Okay.
Oh, there you are. You're back.
Okay.
We
I
can
got
hear
something
you.
going on here. Some reason I can't mute or unmute.
You are unmuted now.
Oh, not.
And we lost you again.
I'm going to kick off Megan and try to sign back in again.
You're
Okay, I'll let you back in.
Okay.
While he's doing that, I'll just point out one of the pieces around the executive director qualifications. To Rick's point about timeline, I think, you know, the hope is also the other work we're supposed to be doing about reviewing 540 is supposed to involve the executive director and the Office of Workforce Expansion and Development. So we certainly, I think, hope to have the next executive director identified well before October. And I think that's also why I had asked if we could at least spend a little bit of time today focused on what those qualifications may look like. And then that way, and I don't want to speak for Kendall, but Kendall did share, you know, we can in good faith begin looking at possible appointments that would align with the overarching qualifications, because they are just a recommendation to the governor, but I think we'd like to have those in mind as we're looking for the next appointment to the executive director position.
Okay.
Are you back with us, Mike?
I think so. Can you hear me?
We can't see you, but we can hear you. There you are. Yes.
Sorry to hurt your eyes.
That is not the case.
Okay. So why don't we take a look at, and for people that might be listening in on the Zoom feed, we also have these posted to our webpage. And you can find that on the legislative webpage and then go to on the right-hand side, there's a section there for scheduled committee meetings, and you can click onto that and find the documents there. So we had one document that Senator Clarkson had sent us. And we sent that around. It's posted under Alicia Ordway. And also Commissioner Harrington also sent one around. Yes, we sent yesterday, and we made sure that everyone had that copy of that as well. So Allison, do you want to start it off?
Or the qualifications are on are if we're going, the first bit is mostly Alicia's, it's updated Alicia work that she had presented to us in January, and then but it's updated from our work in the legislature. We updated, but the qualifications actually are on the last page, or in blue, under qualifications. So, and my eyesight is so bad. So those are the qualifications that we had discussed, and I'm happy to read them, or we can happily look at them together, put them up. I don't know how to do that, but I don't know how you'd like
Do you want me to do that for you?
What would people like to do? Would that be easiest?
Committee? Yeah, well, go ahead, Megan, and you can pull them up on the screen. That'd be great.
One sec. Is this what you wanted to look at?
Yes, the last page, which because we're talking about qualifications first, so those are the duties mostly. And so I believe we go to qualifications. Yeah, perfect.
Is that big enough?
That is good. I mean, is that good for everybody else?
Yes.
Silence. Okay. So I think what I recall from our conversation, what I think just needs to be reinforced, is how critically important it is that our executive director really have a fairly substantial knowledge and experience in workforce development. And this, I believe, captures, I hope the objective was to capture our discussion and Alicia's initial work and our discussion, our following discussion, and what we had hoped. They not only need to have the experience and knowledge of the workforce and education and training programs, they need to be familiar with obviously the economic development initiatives and promotion of industrial and commercial development. They need to have demonstrated management and leadership experience, when we're asking a lot of this person more than previously. Navigating fairly complex systems, both because we're looking at managing and overseeing in and out of state government, nonprofit, for-profit, across the varied stakeholder groups. Demonstrated track record of negotiating conflicts, and good representational writing and speaking skills that demonstrate their ability to represent our needs and to navigate across all our partners. They need to obviously have considerable knowledge of the application and use of data to make strategic and budgetary decisions, and they need a command of the technology for communication and presentations. I think that goes without saying now. They need to be able to research and evaluate processes and knowledge, and they need to have, we can discuss this, but no less than about 5 years of professional experience related to cross-sector collaboration in pursuit of collective impact goals. And this was, and then it goes down, we preferred, just if you can scroll down a little bit, Megan, candidates, should have the knowledge of the principles and practices and general understanding of the regulatory framework related to the employment and training programs, and leadership experience designing, implementing, and evaluating workforce related programs and or system development. So as I recall, this embodies, I think, most of what we were hoping a new executive director would have in terms of experience and knowledge and understanding. And I know Michael sent us something, also qualifications for the ED. And I think,
Do you want me to go to that handout?
yeah, I guess I would say also for me, I really would look to the executive director, and all of us need to weigh in on this, but I'm really hoping that the executive director will have the vision too, because every leader, I mean, that's what we look for in all leadership is vision. And so vision and experience and knowledge, all those, but a person of real vision, I would say, is also something that's just critically important.
I'll just add, since it's up on the screen, I think what I provided was, I think, a list of 5, and I think they capture at least maybe 95% of what was in Alicia Ordway's and what Senator Clarkson just reviewed. So leadership and strategic vision, policy development and implementation, board governance and stakeholder management, communication and public relations, and collaboration and partnership building. And they're relatively general, although I did tweak them so that they do speak specifically to the types of partners they would be working with and communicating with, and the fact that they'd be working on shared workforce development goals for the state. So again, it may be that this captures enough of what was in Alicia's with a little more clarity. But that's what I provided, and you should all have a copy of that.
This is a great, I think the two of them together are really a great starting point, and give us a good board to jump into this work. So I think this is good. I think there are some differences that are kind of key in that we can discuss. And I think, Chair, how would you like to proceed?
Well, that's a good question. I think it may be helpful if maybe up 2 or 3 of us can get together and sit down and kind of talk out how to move forward by trying to maybe meld these two documents together into a single document.
Yep. So I think that would be helpful instead of wordsmithing it as a group.
Right.
Particularly when, I think that would be helpful. I think the one thing I'd want to make sure is that we had a sort of minimum of time in experience identified. And I'm missing actually in both of them asking that the person have a real vision for how to do this task, because it's
right.
That to me is such an essential element of leadership is a vision and ability to communicate what that vision is and to bring all parties together to enable it.
Commissioner?
I think I'll defer to Kendall because I think her hand was up first, and then I can jump in from there.
Okay, Kendall?
I was gonna say, I agree with that. I actually think the 2 documents are very aligned and say mostly the same thing, just differently. And then once we have that consensus or cohesive document, what I would then suggest is we send it over to our Department of Human Resources and have them take a look to make sure we haven't gone too far out of how we would normally put this together for a state job kind of description or posting. And we might be able even to jumpstart that with them now too, and kind of share them these two documents and make sure they're like up to speed and ready to assist, and make sure that, again, like I'm not meaning to sound like a bureaucrat, but like we're having some level of consistency, like with how we treat state jobs. That's what I got.
Okay. Commissioner?
And Mr. Chair, I was just going to add to that. I'm happy to offer to add the two pieces that Senator Clarkson brought up, the vision and the years of prior professional experience, to this document in a version 2. So, and then bring that back to the small group that you want to work on this.
Okay. Well, at this point, I think we can only have 2 people from committee working on it. Otherwise, 3 people constitute a quorum.
Well, we could ask a third person like an Ellen Kaler to join us, who's not technically on the committee, but is such a huge resource for us and is a good, has done this kind of work before. So maybe Michael and I could work on this with Ellen. That would be great. And we could have a little threesome and bring it back.
Yeah.
We can always include people who aren't technically on Socwed to help us do our work.
Yeah, might suggest, or at least,
Or Adam, I mean, you know, I think everybody it's a good group. So anyway, whoever would like to, I mean, I have no ownership. This is mostly Alicia's work and then some of our thoughts that we had added and edited into it. So, I mean, I just wanted to make sure we got the conversation going very specifically into what our charge was.
yeah.
Because our time, as Rick has said, is short.
So, would have Commissioner Fastigi available to us as well if we needed to talk about HR and how that is presented going out. If anyone needs that, so Commissioner, have you interest in working with Allison and Ellen and Adam? If you want to help weigh in as well, that would be great.
Yeah, I was going to offer, if we're worried about creating a quorum, certainly Jay and Cameron or one or the other could participate. The only caution I was going to say is if, we should make sure that there's both representation from the legislative side and the administration side so that we don't come back with a product that then we have to hash out.
Right.
We've got something that's mutually agreed upon.
Yep.
Agreed. I think that's important.
Yep. So you want to head that up, Allison? And
sure, happy to do this. Maybe Ellen and Jay and Michael and I can get going on it.
Yep. Okay.
And anyone else who has thoughts, please share with us. Yeah. Adam, you want to? Kendall,
happy to participate. I think this seems like a great start. So, yeah, if needed, I'm happy to join and participate.
Yeah.
Right.
Good. Yeah.
And then I think after we do our work, in the next, if we can try and get that done in the next week or two, get that to Beth to get the HR holy water on it or reviewed anyway, and then we can go for the gusto.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sooner than later, I think, so that we can get this ball rolling fairly quickly.
So,
okay.
Mr. Chair, when would you like us? That leads us naturally into a scheduling question. Right. And when would we like to have this done? Because we have so much of the work done now, it makes some sense to try and do this if we can in the next week and a half or week or whatever, depending on people's lives.
Yeah, we could get it done in the next week. That would be great. If everyone's schedules work out. Rick, I know you have your hand up. Question.
Yeah, this is a little bit delayed, but I just want to remind you all that, you're encouraged in the act to engage with workforce development stakeholders. So even if you already mentioned you're going to work with Adam and Ellen So anybody who's not on the committee doesn't even have to be a state employee. You are encouraged to engage with other stakeholders to help you kind of flesh out these details, qualifications, that kind of thing. That's it.
Good point. Thank you.
And
Go
while
ahead.
we're chatting about that, we have qualifications, but we also have this second piece of what the duties are. That, do we want to do that as step 2?
Well, I think
Because Alicia, we did.
you can't really have one without the other. I mean, you have to let the people know that are going to be applying for the position, what their duties are going, what at least at a high level, what they can expect their duties to be.
So I guess my question for Michael is, Michael, did you intend because you have yours as qualifications as opposed to duties and qualifications. Maybe we just discuss this as a small group and not worry and figure that out.
Adam?
Yeah, I guess, what I wanted to say here is just, if this, is going out to a small subset of folks to be talking about, this was sort of at the heart of a lot of the discussion over the past, year and a half, 2 years, is the requirement that this individual have that workforce development background and experience, and that, essentially this is their one job, that this is their primary focus. And that at various times there was conversations that this individual would be a cabinet level type position, and just making sure that, if the committee's consensus on that is still there, we align with the administration to make sure that the job description is similar to other positions that have been posted over the years. And then to really just, make sure that there's consensus on what does that look like. The actual qualifications, I think, at a level of a position like this do need to be some high level, and then the detail is in the duties, so that the potential applicant can decide if this is the right job for that individual. We can go super high level on the qualifications, because if indeed it is a cabinet level position, those are pretty general across. And it's the duties and the focus of the work that's really going to sort of separate those applicants.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we're not confusing the duties that we're telling the applicant, what they can expect to be doing, opposed to what we're talking about in the legislation of how do we separate the duties of the commissioner and the duties of the workforce development director or the executive director. So that, that's not what we're trying to attempt here. It's just trying to give someone an idea of what they can expect their duties will be. I think the other piece is more of a more robust discussion between the committee and I think in the department as well. Commissioner?
I concur. That's what I was going to say too. We can talk broadly about the duties of the individual, the position, so they know what they are expected to accomplish in the role or what will have purview. And then I think we would also want that person to be involved in the conversation about looking at 540 and saying, okay, of these legislative directives, which stay with the commissioner and which go to the office.
Exactly. Okay, so I think Allison, you'll head up this little small subcommittee, and then we'll figure out when we start talking about scheduling, when we get together again the next time, and hopefully we can get through that and start working on the separation of duties between DOL and the executive director.
For Senator Clarkson, so I'll pull together a combined of Alicia's recommendations and the one I pulled forward with the additions. And then I think just for review from the smaller group, I think Jay has in the past begun collecting a list of the responsibilities of the executive director and the board. And so I think we can share that as well as a jumping off point.
So, Michael, you want to sort of put it all into one document?
Yeah, I think, well, if that's amenable to you, so that we can
then we can flush it. Then we can decide how we want to marry them. Okay.
Right.
And so for an initial start, for an initial meeting, shall we try and invite? We can figure this out. But Ellen, Jay, Michael, and me. Is that a start? And then Adam, you could join us as you want. Sure. Kendall, if you want to join us, you're always welcome. You always, but I think if
just be
if
sure
Ellen,
that you're not
right. If Ellen,
right. I want to join, but I'm worried about quorum, so we'll have to.
We will have everything. We'll run everything by everybody because obviously we're not going to. So but if we start, Ellen, Jay, Michael, and I start, that sounds like a good start. And,
okay, good. Now, if you want some assistance, Rick, you can talk to Rick. Megan may be able to help you as well as setting the meeting up too.
So I think that would be great if we could dump all that, Michael, if you were willing to do that as a first stab, is to put it all together. And then we can send it to Rick and Ellen. And I don't know how to do a doodle poll. So I'm just going to start a text group or whatever so that we can figure out a first time to meet. We don't need to take up our airtime here, but.
Sounds good. And I will do that. And if it's helpful, certainly Rowan from my office can help coordinate the meeting time, location, if we want it to be virtual or in person. But Rowan can provide assistance for that too.
Right. Well, Ellen still can't get out of her driveway.
Yes, I can. My car is at the bottom of the road.
Oh, very good. Very smart of you. Yes, this has happened before. Yikes. Okay.
Okay, so I think we've actually gone through most of the agenda. I think if there's any public input from anyone. So without that, I think we just look to schedule the next meeting.
Well, we could consider doing a week from today if you want, or a little bit further, but whatever you want. What works for people?
I'm pretty much open, this is a good time for me at 11, Tuesday through Friday, so don't know what everybody else's schedules look like.
You're welcome.
And I'm assuming we would want this, do you want this group to meet the mini subgroup before that and have something to present back to this group?
Yes.
Yeah. Just making sure I'm understanding correctly.
I'm pretty flexible next Friday with the exception of the 11 to noon hour.
Is
that the one time that worked for everyone else? Like again, with the exception of that 1 hour, like I'm pretty.
Yeah. Do you want to do like at 1 o'clock?
You can do 1 o'clock.
People good with 1 o'clock?
Yeah, if we're wanting to present a final sort of idea to you, we could do one. We could do 1, or we could do 9 or 9:30. Mornings are better during this time in our lives for me.
I'm sorry, what is the date you all are looking for your next meeting?
Well, we were thinking about if we want to try and get this done in a week. I don't know if we're going to be able to, but we can at least try. Next Friday, the 19th, I could do, Kendall can't do 11 to 12, but maybe 9 or 9:30 in the morning.
Take care. Makes it difficult for me because I can certainly try. I think,
Want things to be difficult for you.
well, yeah, it's because my help comes in at 11, so.
Oh, okay. So, 1 o'clock that day would be easier for you?
Right,
Okay, got it.
or later. I mean, it's if that works for people. If not, I
can't do too
But
much
I
later
can-
because I have
you want
things.
to do 12:30.
12:30 to 1:30 would be good by me. What is everybody else on Friday the 19th?
Okay,
That works for me.
everybody
here.
work?
Yep.
Okay, let's do 12.
Is this gonna be online or at the State House?
I think
Oh,
this one we'll do online,
Okay.
and then I think my suggestion for us would be that, we start talking about the duties separate, the duty separation, and maybe if there's a document that we can look at. And then I think our follow-up meeting to that then should be in person when we really sit down and start working through those separation of duties and how we're gonna do that would be helpful. Does that make sense to everyone? We could do that. When we figure that out, I can get a room at the State House.
Works here.
Okay, good. So I guess Allison will let you and Commissioner Harrington work together with Ellen and others, Jay and whoever you want to get in there. And if there's if you get hung up on something, I think we can try to the group can flesh it out on Friday.
Yeah, we can give you the thorny bits we have challenges with.
Yeah, then we can talk it out, but
Then it'll just be.
I think a lot of the work is already completed now. We just have to get it together. So, okay.
Marrying in a way that makes it, yes, a little less wordy and a little, perfect.
Yeah, not too prescriptive, and just to give applicants an idea of who we're looking for and what we want them to do. Okay.
And they, right. I can think of all sorts of other things I'd love to have them do. Anyway, great. Why don't we try and figure out a time for next week, and I'll start that email with the 4 that we identified, and then we can always get input from everybody else.
Yep. Megan,
And
we can work together to put an agenda together for next Friday.
Okay, there's a message from Ellen, that the only availability that Ellen has next week is Monday 9 to 10 or 2 to 5.
How are you doing, Uncle Michael?
Sorry, Ellen, you're good Monday 9 to 10.
or 2 to 5. And if that doesn't work for you guys, then maybe Adam could go
No,
instead of me.
that actually works well for me. I could do either of those. I could do like 2 o'clock.
Okay.
Michael, are you able to do that? And at Jay, I think was the other person. Jay, are you able to do Monday at 2?
Yes.
Then let's green light that sucker.
Okay, so that sounds good. Rick, would you be able to join them as well?
Rick, you're muted.
I'm sorry?
I had my video on. I thought you all could read my lips. Monday is fine.
Monday
Okay.
at 2 is okay by you?
Yes.
Great. Do you want me to send around I'll send around a Zoom invite then. Okay?
Michael?
Sorry, Michael, did you have something you wanted?
No, all set. I was going to ask if you wanted to set the meeting up or if you wanted us to do that, but you answered the.
You know, selfishly, I hate Teams.
Not a problem.
And you know, we're so pathetic that the legislators are also Zoom dependent.
Well, we don't get to pick here, so we're stuck with what we got.
I know you don't. So why don't I send it out? And I will do it for 2 p.m. on Monday, the 22nd.
Okay, that sounds good. Once you
Wait, 15.
No,
15, Monday the
15.
15th.
Yeah.
15.
Oh, shoot, that's right. I'm totally on the wrong page. Okay,
Hopefully that's figuratively.
no, that makes it, I had forgotten. Green Mountain Care Board is doing their big statewide tour. I know you guys. So I know that you are all a little flexible. Is it possible to do it in, I forgot. I was looking at the 22nd, so I apologize. The 15th, I have to, could we do it more like 4 o'clock on the 15th? Sorry, because then I could do 4 to 5 and then leave for this. And then I could be back from out of state where I will be. So I have to get my little body back here.
Good here. I saw Ellen nod her head in
Ellen's
agreement.
okay. Jay, is that okay with you and Rick if we do 4 on the 15th?
Yep.
Thank you. I'm very grateful. My screw up. Great. 4 o'clock on the 15th. Thank you. And what else for our agenda, Chair?
Okay, I think that's good. I think once you have a document put together,
We'll send it out.
yeah, if you want to send it to me and Megan, and then
Yeah.
I'll have Megan send it out to the group, and then we can also post it.
So I have a radical and idea. It's not a radical idea, but it is one that uses Rick effectively, which is Rick, if Michael gets you a blend, or even you could do this or whatever, would you take an initial stab at editing the two documents together? Would you be willing to do that? And that would give us, or Michael, you have a thought.
No, I have the Word documents of both, so I can certainly pull them together along with the list that Jay has of the responsibilities as they were or should be for the director. So I can certainly send that around if you want me to do that.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking maybe Rick with fresh eyes and less invested eyes might just take a look at that and sort of see obviously what we can edit out and how we can streamline it. Does that make some sense for Rick to take a stab at that?
Fine by me, Senator. I not my huge skill set, but it's certainly fresh eyes. I can take a look at it. And I'm sure DHR will be much more able to edit it.
Okay, then don't worry about it. Let's pull that, put them together, send it around, Michael, and then we can look at it and have our thoughts for Monday, and then we'll see how we can use Rick's wonderful writing skills after that.
Sounds good.
Sure.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So generally, Commissioner, when you're posting for a vacancy, does that run through HR?
They operate the system, but we draft the
contents. Okay, so we don't really need HR to look at the contents and context of the qualifications.
No, I mean, it wouldn't hurt. They are listed as somebody we're supposed to collaborate with on the qualification. So I think I've already emailed them and asked for who they would prefer us to work with. So I think once we have our final kind of document of qualifications and responsibilities, we can just send it to them for their professional eye, and then we'll be good to go.
Okay, would it make sense to, once the small group gets done, to send that over to Beth and let her?
Sure. Totally up to you if you want
Green.
It might make more sense for everyone to sign off on it before we send it to Beth.
Either way. Okay. Sounds good. Anything else? Okay, motion to adjourn.
So moved?
And there's a second from Commissioner Harrington. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Okay, everybody have a good weekend. Thank you all for joining us, Ellen and Jay and Cameron. Rowan, thank you too. Megan.